Welcome to another class session of the English class. And we've been looking at direct and indirect reporting speeches. And for indirect reporting speeches, we've also looked at certain changes that occur and in relating to the verbs, that is the tenses, from different forms of verbs to another. If you don't know those fully, you need to go back and listen to that class session attentively and meticulously, taking note of all the other features being described there. Not only that, we also looked at the pronoun changes from different form of pronoun to another when you are changing from direct to indirect speeches. We also looked at changing from other changes such as adverbs. That's something near to something far, a time near to a time earlier, before the time. Usually you are expressing the expressions in another day. That is what is being termed usually in reported speeches. However, there are certain exceptions which you still need to take notes while converting from direct to indirect speeches. However, in this slide, we want to look at the conversion of direct to indirect speeches in different sentences or in different sentence types, apart from the statement or declarative sentences we are focused on. Is it in questions? Is it in commands? Is it in exclamatory sentences? We're going to look at that in this class. So follow me as we progress in this class. Now, starting with interrogative sentences, that is questions. There are things you also need to take note. In order to change interrogative sentences into indirect form of narration, are you getting something there? Something is a question. In changing it to reported speech or indirect reported speech, you are going to change it to narration. It be like as if you are giving information directly. So let's see what we need to consider. Number A, that the verb is changed into asked. Asked is the most common, but you could also have other verbs like inquired, queried, questions, or demanded, when it's usually from high authority to a lower authority. So, and next, also the connective if or whether is used in the interrogative sentences, and whether is used in all kinds of interrogative sentences. So you can use if, you can use whether. If an interrogative sentence begins with a preposition, the latter will still retain its position in the indirect form. What does this mean? By the time we continue, we are still going to get that correctly. Now, the helping verb shifts its position from before the subject to after the subject. Please take note of this. This should be the D, rule D, that when you know, in the question, most of the times, especially in polar questions, are you hungry? For instance, you have the verb or auxiliary verb in the case whereby you have a lexical verb coming before the subject. If you are turning it to reported speech in questions, you are going to make the verb to come back to after the subject as you have it in a statement. Please don't confuse all these rules, all these instructions with question tags. No, we are not looking at question tags. If it's question tags, you are going to have the operator or the auxiliary verb before the subject. But take note, in reported speech involving questions, by the time you are changing it from from direct to direct reported speech, from direct to indirect reported speech, I believe you are following me, is going to be the case that you have the subject, then the verb, not the other way around. Just like normal statement. I know why I've given time on this, because many people are carried away the time they are given questions on this. Now look at this expression from direct to indirect now to substantiate and validate what we have been saying earlier. The master said to his servant, have you cleaned the house? The master said to his servant, have you cleaned the house? It could be something like the master asked, master did many things, but that is the expression given to us. In changing it to indirect reported speech, you have the master asked the servant. Asked. You have changed said to what? Asked the servant. Whether, can you see whether now? He had cleaned the house. What have you seen that has been changed? Number one, the pronoun you have been changed to what? He. That is distancing it from second person to what? Third person. That is one. Number two is that you have changed have cleaned. Remember, present perfect. Under the verb changes, you are changing it to what? Past perfect. So you now have had cleaned. However, look at the order. You don't say the master asked the servant whether had he cleaned the house. Had he cleaned the house? No. It's going to be whether he, the subject, had cleaned, the verb, the house. So you have that as the object for the clause you are reporting. Look at further example. I asked my father, when shall we reach Ibadan? I asked my father, when, is it going to be shall we? No, it's going to change to what? We, coming before shall. Are we together? When we, but before you write shall, note that shall is present. You are going to change it to what? Instead of should, but because it's a question, we are changing here to would. Would. You are not giving it as a command. You are still asking question. You are making an inquiry. So that shall will now change to would instead of should. Although what I'm pointing attention there to is that you are changing from present to what? To past. Ask my father when we would reach Ibadan. The police asked a man, what have you got in your bag? What have you got in your bag? It's similar to something like, what do you have in your bag? Now, do you take note of the structure? You have, auxiliary verb. You have you, subject. Then you now have got after the subject. That is the lexical verb. Now, in changing it to the indirect speech, the subject will come before the verb. So the police asked the man what he had. And you see, what he had got in his bag. What he had got in his bag. Now, have are changed to what? Got. Are changed to add. Rather, have, the present, changed to add. But don't forget this arrangement because it's a major or common error for exam candidates. He had got in his bag. You see that the subject is now coming before the verb or the operator in that sentence. And don't also forget that the quotation marks are no more there. They have been removed in the indirect speech. Shall I ever see him again? He wondered. He wondered. Comma. Shall I ever see him again? Now, I'm giving you the two arrangements as we discussed in the previous class. He wondered if he would see him again. Can you see? He. Are we following? He. Then you also see would see, not if would he see him again. Please don't make that funny mistake. The boy asked, how much are the mangoes? How much are the mangoes? Can you see the arrangement again? How? After how, the adverb element how, you have much, are the mangoes. You know, the mangoes is like what you are referring to, and the are is coming before the mango. So let's see how it's been arranged in indirect speech. The boy asks, how much? How much? Instead of saying are the mangoes, it's going to be what? The mangoes were. Changing to were, the tense, but the arrangement, since it was a question, the mangoes came before were. That's why I say the boy asks how much the mangoes were. Let's look at how you could have it in exclamatory sentences. The reporting verb is changed into exclaim. You know, in the past, exclaimed. Cry out, regretted, admitted, confess, etc. In the past, if you are changing that, except you have an auxiliary verb which does not permit the use of past tense. The sentence becomes an assertive one. Please take note of that. Just like we did for questions. A question format will be changed back to a statement. It will be changed back to a declarative structure. That is the subject coming before the verb. So the same thing too in exclamatory sentences is going to change back to an assertive one or like a statement. And in most cases, the conjunction that is used after the reporting verb. After reporting verb, she said, she exclaimed, she regretted, she exclaimed, all those ones, you have that after it. Let's have examples demonstrated here. They said, hooray, we have won the match. Hooray, we have won the match. Now, let's report that indirectly now. You know that was reported directly with quotation marks there. They exclaimed that, can you see? They exclaimed that. We don't need to repeat hooray. Hooray is an exclamation. So they exclaimed that they. Instead of we, you now have what? They. Instead of have won, you have what? Had won the match. Simple as that. We change to they. That is first person to third person. There is a shift in pronoun. Then you have, instead of have won, you have what? Had won. Present perfect. Changing to what? Past perfect. The teacher said, alas, I have lost all my children. That is pathetic. Lord, God, we compensate and make the teacher happy. But using it as an example here, the teacher exclaimed instead of saying alas. Can you see? We've been using the appropriate verb since it's an exclamation. Teacher exclaimed with sorrow. It is not compulsory. You have with sorrow there that what he had lost. Can you see? Hi, he in the indirect have lost. Now change to what? Had lost all his children. Then my children. Change to what? His children. We are reporting it. So we are not assumed to be the first or the original speaker of that expression. So in this class, we looked at some structures, the features of other sentences types, such as exclamatory sentences, interrogative sentences, and in other forms of sentences. Subsequent class, we're going to look at other things as it pertains to reporting speech. Thank you, and God bless you.